Welcome back to the program. We are joined by Congressman Pete Sessions. He's a Republican of Texas and a member of the Oversight and Government Reform Committee and the Financial Services Committee. Welcome to the program, Congressman.
Thank you very much. It's a beautiful morning, isn't it?
It's always a beautiful morning with Washington Journal. You are on the Oversight Committee, as I mentioned, and you had been dealing with the release of the Epstein files. Of course, the vote, most Republicans were opposed to the release until the president reversed his opinion on that. And so can you tell us about kind of what was happening behind the scenes with your committee and with the vote for the release of the remaining Epstein files?
I'd be pleased to give some insight. For many months, the committee has been working what we hope is on a bipartisan basis. I serve as chairman of Government Operations Subcommittee, and my Democrat lead is Mr. Mfume from Maryland, and he and I have spoken a few times, not a lot because of the government shutdown, but we've spoken about the need to make sure that he is receiving as well, anyone on the committee that's a Democrat or Republican, receiving the information that they needed. The information that we began our conversation with, as you'll recall, became a highlight when Attorney General Bond indicated she would be pleased to release the data and information to Congress. Then, just within days, she found out that she did not have all of the data and information. And this became an important point for us to make sure that we were understanding at the Government Reform and Oversight Committee that we would receive the entire package and what that would be. As you know, there's a chain of custody. This represents things that happened in 05, 06, 07, 08. And there's a chain of custody. There are foreign entities on this. These were done in the islands. These parties and occurrences were in Florida. They were in New York. And so a number of law enforcement agencies were surrounding that. We believed from the very beginning that we needed to answer key questions. How did this happen? How was this sustained? Did people pay money? Did people pay money to come on the island? How were these women selected? What were the method of operation between the videotapes and the pictures that were taken, and who had that chain of custody? One of the first persons that we had as a witness, where he was on a bipartisan basis vetted, was the U.S. attorney at the time. And he spoke about why this was not prosecuted federally and why it was prosecuted and the level and the extent that was obtained in Florida. So we have lots of questions, and that's the pathway we were going down. Well, all of a sudden it turned, no surprise, political. And the word Donald J. Trump is what people were looking for. And as best I can tell you, we were after the story, how it happened, why it happened, how we could avoid this happening next. And we were looking at documents that we wanted that would be vetted by law enforcement with facts and factors to them. This release of the files came as a result of a discharge petition that was written but not inclusive of all the things to take into account the needs of the young people, photos, images, videos, data, ancillary information. So all of this will be now gathered together and put out to the public. And that's why Republicans, and maybe some Democrats who had reservations, wanted to continue what we were doing, but it became too politically hot.
Congressman, why do you think President Trump changed his mind over the weekend after fighting it for so long and so vehemently against this discharge petition to then tell Republicans to go ahead and vote for it?
Well, these are very valid questions. As you probably know, it came up to the Rules Committee that I used to be chairman of for 6 years. It came to the Rules Committee, and the Rules Committee some 9 times had dismissed this. I cannot tell you why a bill presented by the Speaker or the Republicans did not come and straightforward talk about what we intended to do and to more fully authorize the committee and the Democrats and Republicans for the American people to understand. I do not know why we didn't do that, but this originally, in my opinion, and more than a year ago, became an issue on the campaign trail, mostly by women, Republican women. MAGA women is a term that's used often, but it also included my wife and my whole staff, who then said, we need to get to the bottom of this. And so that's what this committee was attempting to do. The discharge petition did not go through a committee, it was not vetted, and there was no way to change it. Once it was put into play, it gathered the fire that was necessary. So Donald Trump, President Trump, understood very clearly that we, from a perspective of Republicans, and certainly what might be called our base, expected us to deliver. And because the House had failed to effectively sell what it was doing, it became a popular chant among Republicans and Democrats, and so all of our offices were inundated. So it just became a wave too big for anyone to negotiate. That's why the president did what he did, and that's why we had a near unanimous vote.
And I'll invite our audience to start calling in now. If you'd like to talk to Congressman Pete Sessions, Republican of Texas, you can do so. He'll be with us for about the next 20 minutes. Our lines are by party, so Democrats are on 202-748-8000, Republicans 202-748-8001, and Independents 202-748-8002. Congressman, are you confident that there are no other perpetrators of illegal activity, sexual abuse, sexual assault that will come out from these files? I mean, everybody that has committed a crime been prosecuted?
Well, we do know that what happened is that the principal in this case, and Giselle, who was, I would also call co-conspirator, pled guilty in state court in Florida. There was a question after law enforcement looked at it, after the state of Florida looked at it, of what the offenses were and how things happened. We are now looking at this literally 20 years later and looking at data and information. As you know, there are people overseas and even in this country, including some that were carrying the title of ambassador, some that were carrying a royalty rank, that have been outed over the last few years. But yes, I would anticipate that this list, whether someone's actually guilty or not, their name will be associated with it. And so it's these types of releases that make it very difficult. I'm more concerned about the victims, the girls, the families, the photos, the videos that may fall into hands to be outed. But yet, no, I have no reason to assume that names that have not been appeared would not now. I think they will. And I think that, I don't know if there's a complete list, but this goes to numbers of incidents that happened in New York, that happened in Florida, that happened on the island. And so I think, as we learned yesterday about the emails that have become available, about fundraisers that were held, contact with Mr. Epstein and others. And so I think there's a lot left, a treasure trove of information that will be gone through.
And Congressman, you did mention Ghislaine Maxwell, who's convicted sex trafficker and sex abuser. The NBC is reporting that her prison emails shows she is much, quote, happier at this minimum security Texas facility that she was moved to. There are reports of special treatment at that. She was moved after speaking with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Are you investigating that? Does that concern you in any way?
Well, let me just say this straight up. Anybody that's in Texas is happier.
But one would hope a sexual trafficker would
Well,
not be treated that way, sir.
Well, she is at a minimum security prison, a federal prison. Perhaps it does. In fact, there are a number of circumstances that we are aware of, and that is her own safety, her own life, her own opportunity. But does it appear as though there was a quid pro quo to unloosen some of the restraints that would be on her as a normal prisoner? Would not surprise me. Is that something that we need to probably get in and vet? Yes, but it falls well below the line of things that we're working on right now. We've just come off of a government shutdown. We have another government shutdown that looms ahead of us. We've got a lot of work to do, but that she became forthright and reinitiated things to put things in perspectives about what happened and stipulated the terms. I think that does happen because you come to an agreement. Would not surprise me.
Last week, the Washington Post reported that Democrats did release some emails from Jeffrey Epstein, and including one that claimed that President Trump, quote, knew about the girls and, quote, spent hours at Epstein's house with one of his sex trafficking victims. Your response to that?
Well, my response to that is that we have correspondingly emails with other co-conspirators who said they did not believe that he was a part of this at all. Please know this, if this had been, and it's not a new term that I'm using, but if this had been apparent to people, let's say during the Biden and Obama administration, which they had full custody of, and others who were detractors, I'm sure we would have known it. We have seen the context of it. It did appear in the Epstein information, and I'm sure that there are plenty of people right now who are going through that. I believe that the president, I hope he did, sign the bill last night. We'll release the information and then let the occurrences with the entire file come out.